And we're back at it. This time with movements 2 and 3 of Beethoven's Fifth. I'm going to leave the last movement to be a short video of its own, so this one doesn't get too bloated. Second movement is obviously up first, so here's our basic info. A flat major. Form is two themes with variations, so that's a bit different instead of just a theme and variations. Tempo, andante con modo. So we're andante, but with a bit more movement than maybe a standard andante. We're not obsessed with our own sound. We keep pushing through the sentimentality. This movement is at a pretty big risk of getting quite overly sentimental, so you got to make sure to keep it moving. And then finally, our meter is 3/8. Here's our first of the two themes. You'll see it's marked Dolce, and it's in the lower strings. Again, we're using a piano transcription of this piece. So yeah, Dolce, lower strings, as you're able to see both on the score here and from the recording. If you look at the first three notes in the bass, you'll notice that the strings outline a tonic triad in second inversion. So right off the bat, Beethoven's establishing this new key. You have this elegant dotted rhythm, but if you play this, you have to make sure that it stays dotted and you don't end up turning it into triplets. It's meant to be elegant and not bouncy. And then here's our second theme. It's in the winds and the violins, and you'll hear that three short, one long motive again. But it doesn't sound too fadey and scary this time like it does in the first movement. We start out in A flat major, but, and it's not on the excerpt on the screen, we're suddenly struck with C major harmonies with brass. It's really striking and totally bizarre. Okay, so two themes. That's weird, right? Well, for the most part, it's really variations on the first theme, but the second theme does make some appearances. Beethoven's really weaving these things together, which I think is pretty cool. So here's our variations. We've got four of them. The first two are pretty straightforward. Our first one is variations on the first theme in sixteenths, and then the second theme comes back unchanged. Variation 2 is the first theme in 30 seconds, and both of those, the first variation and the second variation, as you'll see on the notes that I put on the screen, are on the strings. Or at least led by the strings. Variation 3, we get this contrary motion thing going on in the winds. But then kind of out of nowhere, we get our second theme again, but it's in C major now, and it kind of comes crashing down upon us. The final variation is almost like a funeral march of sorts. We're in A flat minor now, so we're in the parallel minor key of the tonic key of this movement. Then we move into this kind of funky coda that seems super out of place, but I think it's kind of cute. It's marked Pimoso, so we've got even more movement now, and it starts out with the bassoons playing a final little variation on that first theme. For the third movement, we've returned to our home key of C minor, and as with all scherzo and trios, we're working in ternary form. Our tempo is allegro, and our meter is 3/4, again, as is the standard for this kind of movement. So we start off with this ascending line in the low strings. It's marked pianissimo. It might also be categorized it is categorized in the RCM textbook as a Mannheim rocket or a rocket theme, since we have this quickly ascending line that's really a broken chord. And this is our first theme of the scherzo. Within the scherzo, we have a couple themes going on. We just saw the first, and on your screens now is the second. So I have to apologize for the segmentation here. The theme was split over two lines, so I've tried to join them up relatively seamlessly. This is a much broader theme given to us by the horns. Again, we have this three short, one long motive coming back. And unlike the variation of it that we heard in the second movement, there's something of a very menacing quality here. Now things get fun when we hit the trio. We're in C major now, and the cellos and basses take off with this whirlwind of notes. We don't quite get a fugue, but this trio is largely imitative, and it's definitely playful. We've moved a long way away from Mozart's minuet and trios. This movement is big, bold, it's brash. It's not meant for an elegant chord. And then, suddenly, we're back to the scherzo. And I'm just going to speak here for a bit and not put anything on the screen. The first theme isn't played out in full when we have this return of the scherzo. And the second theme is no longer this menacing beast, but rather more like a mouse creeping along a creaky floor. It's gone from the French horns blasting away to strings playing pits and winds keeping this super tight staccato. Then we get a deceptive cadence that pushes us into this transitional section, and beneath you'll hear the fate motif. This transitional section is confusing and it's mysterious. Again, you have that fate motif and it's being played by the timp. But it's us wading through these murky waters until we emerge into this bright, crystal clear liquid of the fourth movement. For clarity, there is no time taken between the third and fourth movements. One glides seamlessly into the next. And I'll leave you on something of a cliffhanger. Next time we have the fourth and final movement of the symphony, which should be a quick video. But again, I didn't want this video to get too bloated. Some of them we've been getting pretty long lately. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. See you soon.